Hmm?
Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So today we are going to present about constitution. But before we begin our presentation, let me introduce our group members. Firstly, Nurul Ani Suhaida binti Muhammad Syuhaimi. Secondly, Nur Insyirah Huda binti Abdul Hadi. Thirdly, Nur Atika Diana binti Muhammad Haris. And lastly, Nur Zainisha binti Ramlan. I know you guys must be thinking about what topics we are going to learn today, right? So, without wasting any time, I will explain briefly. Firstly, what is the definition of constitution and its functions? Secondly, what is the constitution concerned about? Thirdly, the types of constitution, which is written versus unwritten constitution, rigid versus flexible constitution, unitary versus federal constitution, and lastly, supremacy of the constitution. But wait, before we move further, let me introduce to you guys who is the voice owner behind this cute character. So here we have Nisha, she, Faye, and Tika. Okay, here we go.
Okay, thank you, Sister Atika, for the beautiful introduction just now. Okay, so for what is constitution and its function, I will take the turn. Okay, so here I give you some three definition of constitution. The first definition is comprises a body of rules regulating the way in which an institution or organization operates. The first one, and the second one is the basic principles and laws of a nation, states, or social group that determine the powers and duties of the government and guarantee certain rights to the people in it. Okay, and the third one is a written instrument embodying the rules of a political or social organization. For the simpler one, like in BM we call the constitution as the perlembagaan. Okay, so then you must be asking about what's the function of the constitutions. Okay, so I will give you some of the functions. Okay, the first one is establish the organs of government. The second one is detail the allocations of power between those organs of government. And the third one is provide the resolutions of disputes regarding the interpretation of the constitution. Okay, the first one is provide amendment of the constitution where appropriate. Okay, and then detail the fundamental rights and duties of its citizens. Then specify the protection afforded to those rights. And lastly, provide due protection for minority group. So I will move to what is the constitution concerned about. Okay, so there are five the things that constitution is concerned about. Okay, it is functions discharged by the organs of government, distribution of power between the organs of government, lawmaking process, of course, because it is constitution, right? Okay, and then the relationship between individuals and the states in terms of the state's power to interfere with the exercise of individual rights and freedoms. And lastly, protection that the states can afford for its citizens. Okay, so for the next part, I will give it to Sister Shi.
And then we move to written versus unwritten constitution. What is written constitution? A constitution is said to be written when the whole body of fundamental laws, customs, convictions, principles, rules and regulations according to which a particular government of a country operates are written down or documented down. This implies that a written constitution can be found in a single document. Some changes like revolution, war, coup d'etat, gaining of independence, etc. that may take place in a country may warrant the writing down of a country's constitution. What is unwritten constitution? A constitution is said to be unwritten when the whole body of fundamental laws, customs, convictions, principles, rules and regulations according to which a particular government of a country operates are not written down or codified in a single document. Unwritten constitution seems to be the opposite of written constitution. Britain and New Zealand are good examples of countries that have unwritten constitution. An unwritten constitution is not synonymous with non-existent laws, but what it means is that these laws, customs, etc. that cannot be obtained from one single book or document. Countries like USA, Nigeria, India, France, Canada, Ghana, Sierra Leone, Gambia, and many other countries of the world have written constitutions. And then we move to the features of written constitution. First one is, it is written or documented down in a single document. A written constitution has a preamble or introduction, which expresses the essence of the constitution. The third one is, it stipulates the methods and conditions for its amendment and change. A written constitution looks very simple because it can be obtained in a single document. And the last one is, it spells out the fundamental human rights and duties of the citizen of a country. Obviously, for unwritten constitution, it is not contained in a single document. It is easier to amend since its mode of amendment is not expressly provided in any particular law. The laws are scattered across many documents, thus making it very difficult to interpret an unwritten constitution. And the last one is, unwritten constitution grow with the people. It is usually dynamic in nature. And then we move to the differences between written constitution and unwritten constitution. Written constitution contained in a single document, but unwritten constitution is not contained in a single document. And written constitution is a rigid constitution, but unwritten constitution is a flexible constitution. Written constitution stipulates the methods and conditions for its amendment and change, but not for unwritten constitution. Written constitution more complex because many laws are contained in it, but for unwritten constitution, it is more compound than written constitution. Written constitution has a preamble or introduction that expresses the essence of the constitution, but not for unwritten constitution. Written constitution spells out the fundamental human rights and duties of the citizens in one document, but unwritten constitution does not spells out the fundamental human rights and duties of the citizens in one document. Written constitution removes constitutional ambiguities, but unwritten constitution surrounded with ambiguities because it is scattered across different documents, and written constitution makes it difficult for the emergence of dictatorial rulers, but for unwritten constitution, it makes it easier for the emergence of dictatorial rulers. And the last one, the written constitution, citizens can easily know when their rights are violated with the written constitution, but it is hard for citizens to easily know when their rights are violated with unwritten constitution.
Let's take a look at the rigid and flexible constitution. Rigid constitution is a constitution which has a cumbersome or long amendment procedure. The laws of the constitution can only be amended by some special procedure, while flexible constitution is a constitution which can easily be amended or changed without a cumbersome procedure. All the laws of the constitution can be amended by the ordinary law-making process. So, what is the difference between rigid constitution and flexible constitution? Firstly, rigid constitution cannot be easily amended. The procedure of amending the constitution is usually cumbersome, expensive, time-consuming, and require two-thirds majority of the parliament to amend the constitution. For example, in United States, since constitutional amendments cannot be made by an ordinary act of Congress, which is the normal lawmaking process, but require a special procedure involving a two-thirds majority in each house of Federal Congress, followed by a ratification by at least three-quarters of the legislatures of the individual states of the Union. While flexible constitution can be easily amended, which only require a simple majority. For instance, in United Kingdom, any law of the constitution can be changed by simple act of parliament. Besides, rigid constitution is also difficult and seldom altered, in practice, through the force of a variety of circumstances. For example, United States Constitution have only 26 amendments since its adoption in 1787, as opposed to the flexible constitution, which easily and often altered. For instance, Swiss constitution, whose amendment does not require special procedure, has often been amended. Next, rigid constitution brings about a stable government since it cannot be easily changed to suit the interests of just one person, while there is no stability in a flexible constitution because it can easily be tampered with and may change easily. Moreover, rigid constitution is also suitable for a federal system of government, that is, a government with a heterogeneous population, while flexible constitution is more suitable for a unitary system of government with a homogeneous population. Lastly, rigid constitution is usually in writing or written constitution, while flexible constitution may be in written or unwritten form.
Okay, next, unitary versus federal constitution. Firstly, the simple definition of unitary is all the power comes from one government, the constitution in central organs. It means the authority is concentrated at the national level. For example, United Kingdom, China, and Iran. Next, federal. The definition of federal is the power is divided between a central government and state government. For example, Malaysia, United States, and Canada. Now, we move to the difference between unitary and federal constitution. Unitary constitution have single government. It means all the power come from one government. Then federal have dual government because national government and state government both hold the power. Secondly, unitary may be written or unwritten. Meanwhile, federal usually in written constitution only. Thirdly, unitary is flexible constitution. It is because a unitary constitution is easily changeable, where the amendment can be passing a simple part of the law. On another hand, federal is rigid constitution. A federal constitution is not easily changeable. It can be only amended by special condition. And lastly, unitary do not have division of powers. It is because the power is placed in one central governing system. Meanwhile, federal is division of powers because the power and responsibilities are shared between national and local levels.
Wow, thank you all for such a detailed explanation about the types of constitution. So for the last part, I will take over, which is supremacy of the constitution. Like all other things in this world, there must be a most powerful type of the constitution. So which one is it? It is the federal constitution. The federal constitution is the fundamental law of the land, a kind of higher law, which is used as a yardstick with which to measure the validity of all other laws. Any law inconsistent with the federal constitution may be challenged in court. Yeah, because federal constitution is the highest power. Okay, so for example, Malaysian Federal Constitution, Article 4 in brackets 1 and Article 162 in brackets 6. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you for your cooperation to listen to our presentation. And if you have any question, you may ask us in the comment section, okay? Thank you very much. Goodbye.
I got broads in Atlanta, just took the lean in the family, credit cards and the scammers, getting no licks in the bank, legacies.